Member engagement and knowledge sharing are at the heart of any association's membership website. Are you looking for a place where the brightest minds hang out and share ideas? We've got the perfect place for you. Member Lounge, a community driven to make your association thrive. Log into memberlounge.app and join the Member Lounge learning community. Whether it's the top strategies to attract new members, get your engagement higher, or to drive up your revenue, you can connect with industry experts at any time you want and ask your burning questions about membership challenges. Be part of a dynamic discussion group on Member Lounge, where you can interact with fellow association leaders and members in real time, 24/7. Meet the experts: Scott Oser, Ed Byers, Amanda Kaser, Elisa Pratt, Bruce Rosenthal, Michael Tatanotti, and Farhad Khan. Join Member Lounge today. Thank you for that. You can see familiar faces of those that we have in our video and those that we have here today. So we're very happy and we're very excited to welcome everyone, and especially our expert panelists here. So let's dive right in and meet our expert panelists. Our first panelist is Scott Oser. Welcome, Scott, and thank you for joining us today. Please tell us about yourself and what you do.
Sure. Thanks, Lydia. I'm glad to be here. So thank you all very much for having me. Scott Oser with Scott Oser Associates, and I know the name of my company sort of explains everything, right? That's obviously a joke, but I have worked in the association space doing membership, recruitment, retention, engagement, marketing of all sorts of products and services within associations, and also advertising, exhibits, and sponsorship sales for 25 plus years now. I was on the staff side for about 10 years working at associations, and I've been doing my own thing now for about 16 years. So just happy to talk about recruitment and retention today and focus on that area, which is a critical piece for all associations.
Thank you, Scott, for that introduction. I think, yes, everyone knows that you have more than 2 decades of experience already, and we're floored to have you here. And our next panelist is our very own Farhad Khan. Welcome, Farhad. Please tell us about yourself and what you do.
Sure. Hi, I'm Farhad Khan from Member Lounge. I'm the CEO of the company. I've been working with associations for over 12 years now, and we have actually helped build some of the largest membership websites here in Canada. I won many awards in my work in the past. I was named top 40 under 40 by the Auto Business Journal. And nowadays, I'm really focused on building our core platform, Member Lounge. And I'm excited to say that our platform, Member Lounge, will be used in over 6,000 pharmacies in Canada early next year through pharmacy associations. And we're very excited about that, including Walmart, Shoppers Drug Mart, and Rexall as well. So we are very excited to see all the new features and everything that is happening with Member Launch. And Lydia, thank you for the wonderful video. It's great work. And I'm happy to be on the panel today.
Thank you for that, Farhad. Okay, so let's jump right in. I think we have a lot of questions from our own community and from the audience that we have joining us right now. So I think we'll start with recruitment. So when it comes to the membership life cycle, recruitment is the first step. And we know that there are different strategies and methods to go about this. And as someone with decades of experience in the association world, Scott, we'd like to know, what are your top 3 key strategies to recruit?
Sure. I like to keep things as simple as possible. And so I think the 3 key strategies in regards to recruitment are: 1, it's not just one touch and you're done. You need to have multi-touches within your audience. You need to talk to people or communicate, connect, promote to your prospects, to your potential members multiple times throughout the year. You can't just throw one thing at them and hope that that's going to be the thing that seals the deal and makes them join the association. 2, there really is no one media or one promotional or marketing tool that's going to work for everybody. So you need to try different things. There are so many different ways that you can reach your members these days, whether it's a personal connection or it's a community connection or it's let's go old school and say direct mail. There's lots of different things that you can do there. And then 3, I would say on the recruitment side is you need to do what you need to target as much as possible. Not the same message is not going to reach or resonate with every single prospective member. So as much as you can, you want to send different messages or targeted messages to the different niches or the different buckets within your prospect environment.
Oh yeah, definitely agree on that one. So yes, that's the top 3 is a multi-touch and try to different ways of reaching out to members and then sending different messages. That sounds so simple, but we know that it's a lot of work for associations. Farhad, do you have anything to add to that? Like, do you have a different approach when it comes to recruitment?
No, I think I agree with everything that Scott said, but I'll kind of take a different angle on the same comment. So when we're doing that multi-touch approach, just like Scott said, we have to make sure that we really dial in the messaging, right? So the same announcements, the same message, same ad may not resonate well with everyone. That's why it's very important for you to understand what are the different values, what are the different desires and aspirations your different members have. And I think really understanding what members value is very, very important. And whenever you are doing any campaigns, any marketing, I guess omni-channel marketing, meaning marketing across multiple channels, whenever you're doing anything like that, you have to make sure that you are really speaking to what the audience is thinking right now. So say, for example, if I'm very thirsty right now, and if someone offers me a glass of water, that glass of water will be very valuable for me. But what if I'm not thirsty, right? Then that glass of water has no meaning to me at all. So marketing and member value is very similar. All members have certain desires, they have some jobs to be done. They want certain things from their membership overall or in their career. So we really need to understand, and we actually need to document that. Understanding is not enough. We often think we know, think we understand, but we do not document, and then the ideas and everything gets lost over time. So I think it's very important for associations to really understand your members and then document them and then share them with the team as well. Share that those member values, member priorities across the marketing, sales, and the membership team, so they all know what members are looking for. And also, I think in recruitment, one thing that is very, very important, and it's very important for a higher tier membership. Smaller memberships are probably relatively easier to sell. I cannot actually say that they are both hard to sell, but a member who has not purchased your membership yet does not truly know what it will be like to be a member, right? So if you can find ways to give them a glimpse, make them feel what it is like to become a member early on, even before they become a member, if you can show them how the future looks like what the dream is, then I think it becomes much easier to sell the membership. So free trials are very good. So if you want to give them a 30-day free trial or anything, any way that they can know your community better, know your services better, that's one way. Or if you have free events, so for example, many of our events are free, and that way our members, our prospects can actually know what it will be like to work with us and how we approach things. So I think those early free trials or giving them some glimpses of what it is like to be a member, I think goes a long way.
Yeah, I got it. Thank you for that. I think for the associations though, that it can be overwhelming when it comes to recruitment, so that how do they know exactly where to reach out to them, what kind of messages to give to their members or to their prospective members, and is there enough or too much communication from the association to the members? I'd like to get your point on that, Scott. What do you think about that?
I think that you need to start with research or data. That's where you're going to figure out what your different segments are and what your prospective members are comprised of, right? That's where you're going to do it. So you could either try, which is a complicated thing, and it's not the easiest thing to do, but to try and talk to them, whether it be via survey or some other sort of mechanism to collect that information directly from your prospective members. I say that it's challenging because members in some ways aren't members for a reason. So you're going to have lower response rates. You're not going to get, they're not going to communicate with you as easily as a current member will, who's already bought into your membership, who's already who's already drinking the Kool-Aid, so to speak. And so I think that you need to get the information that way. Over communicating, yes and no. I mean, I think that there could definitely be too much communication, but as long as you're sort of pacing it and spreading it out a little bit, I think you're going to be okay. And as long as you're doing it through multiple channels. So I would say really the focus would be more on a campaign. And let me finish what I'm saying, and then I'm going to get the dog out of the room, which is who you guys hear whining, and I'm really sorry about that. He wants to get out. I put him in on purpose, but now he wants to get out, so he's just standing at the door whining. But so I would say focus it on campaigns and then sort of spread it out based on what type of media you're using, what type of tool that you're using, which different marketing mechanisms you're using, because you don't want to, I'll just use an extreme example. If you're just using email only, you don't want to email a prospect like every day or twice a day over a couple of months. It's just going to turn them off. They're never going to join. So you really need to take a look at sort of what you're doing and then spread it out appropriately, and then also see what your reaction is. I mean, you can't really get data. I mean, you can get join data if you're doing direct mail, but you can't really get, but you can't really get any more data than that on a direct mail piece. If you use personalized URLs and some other things, yes, you can. But unless you're tying it to something digitally, it's hard to know what those results are. But when you're doing email or you're using those sort of digital technical devices, you can then see what people are responding to and what they're not, and then you can either ramp up or turn or cut back on different things for your next campaign and for other campaigns. And sorry, you guys, I'm going to go away for 1 second to let him out of here so he doesn't drive everybody crazy.
Sure, no worries. And I can probably add to that.
Yes.
So the way we look at it is that associations in general, actually, I find that they usually have a hard time with the marketing in general, because associations don't have a big marketing team or a huge marketing budget, unlike for-profit companies. So for example, our team, we have a relatively bigger marketing team, right? So associations will probably by default not be able to do a lot of marketing, and that is a default. So that's why I would encourage not to shy away from any marketing. So if you feel like this is you have bandwidth for doing these number of campaigns, go ahead and do it. Do not hold back, right? Do not hold back. And normally one email per week is fine. Do not worry about sending one email per week. We end up sending 2 emails per week, and that's even okay. So think of it this way: most of your emails will be lost, right? There is so much email, there's so much noise in the different channels right now. So most of your content will be lost. So if you send one email per week, and then if you didn't catch the member at the right time, the email has already drowned. 2 days later, if the member didn't open the email has drowned, right? So, but if you do send multiple emails, if you send another email next week, if you missed him the last week, you'll probably catch him this week, right? So that's why I think it's very important to have those multiple touch points. So I would encourage you, anyone, not to shy away from over communicating, because associations actually by default, the majority of associations, they actually under communicate, right? So by default, they under communicate. So do over communicate. And if you over communicate, your members will tell you, you will get pushback. They will tell you, hey, you know what, you're sending too many emails. Hey, sorry, that's too much communication, right? They will tell you. And then just like what Scott was saying, anytime you feel like you're over communicating, if you can pace the communication a little. So for example, as opposed to sending 2 emails this week, maybe schedule the second email for the following week, just pacing it properly. And in terms of social media and the different channels, what we find in general is that different age groups are more active in different channels. So you do have to make sure that you are sharing your content, sharing your promotion and everything to multiple channels. And it's very difficult to set a one-size-fits-all approach for that, but there are some broad generalization there. For example, certain age group is more active on Facebook nowadays, and we know that. And people who are looking for professional connections, they're on LinkedIn, right? So the messaging that you will have on Facebook will be slightly different from on LinkedIn. And again, the younger generation, like millennials and Gen Z, they're probably like more active on, say, Instagram, like Twitter, and then also on TikTok. So know that like if you're sharing something on Instagram or on TikTok or on Twitter, know that like you'll probably get like more like millennials and Gen Zers. So if you have younger members, and if you want to attract younger members, and if you're not putting out your content in those like newer channels, then you will actually miss out. The format of content is very important as well. So whenever you're trying to invite younger members to join, and you give them like a 1-hour webinar like this will probably not work out at the very beginning. So you have to like start with like short form teaser content that younger members will connect with better. So that's why like we need to make sure that the channel is important, and then the content of the message is important, but the format of the message, the length, and then like how audiovisual the message is, that is super important as well, because like we are finding that younger members are very much visual learners, so they respond much better to images, videos, animations, right, as opposed to just like regular text. So even infographics are a bit old nowadays, right? So we need to make sure that the content, format, length, like all of that is factored in.
Yeah, so with all of that in consideration, we actually have a very valid, very connected question from the audience. How do you differentiate between members and communication with limited resources? Like ideally, yes, you could do all of this with different channels, different messages. But if you have limited resources, like a lot of the associations, how do you do this properly? Is there a way?
I can just jump in and give you kind of a simple answer. And my simple answer is try it and see what works best. I know that that tends to be a little bit time intensive because you don't really get responses right off the bat. Like if you put out some outreach today, some people are going to be, some people might join, but a number of people may need a second or a third communication or a second and third piece of contact before they actually join. But what I would say is test. I think that especially, and I don't want this to sound negative, but I feel like sometimes just because of lack of resources, smaller staff associations don't have the staff, or they don't have the finances or the dollars to be able to do a lot of testing. So testing kind of goes by the side. They do the one thing that they're going to do, and if it works, fantastic. If it fails, then they're in trouble because they've got nothing else. But the way to really figure out how to maximize your communications and to maximize your outreach is to compare and contrast and to put different techniques up against each other and see which one works best, and then do more of that in the future. And so that will really help you optimize what you're doing. You've got to keep testing. It's not a one-time and done, but at least for the time being, it will give you an idea of where the best to spend your money and your time.
Yeah, and I think like on top of that, something that works really well is that if you are creating any piece of content, so for example, when we create a podcast episode, or maybe like we are actually working on this like panel discussion today, right? So you the marketing team or the membership team will have to spend some time on creating content. I think nowadays it's a no-brainer, right? So like members do expect associations to create content, high value content that the members can actually like benefit from. But the way to do that will be invest in the core content once. So for example, if you have a webinar with a high profile speaker, then maybe spend 1 hour or maybe even more to create the first webinar. And then while you're creating that webinar, create additional marketing pieces to go alongside with that. So from one 1 hour webinar, you can create like 2 or 3 video clips. You can create screenshots. You can take the ideas from that one webinar and then like create a social post, right? So I think like what we want to do is that like we want to have influencers and like communities like to kind of like be the spark for you for ideas, right? So like they will spark the ideas, but then like once you are there, once you hold that event, once you do that, use it in many different ways, right? And that's what we do in our company as well. So that's number one. So create the big piece of content once, and then like repurpose it as much as you can, like in like several different formats. Now, another thing like to go along with that is that no matter how small an association you are, I think you can market. You have to find a creative way. So I was talking to one association, I think like last year, or I can't remember when, and they were saying that like they are a staff of three people, but then like even then they are very active and they do a lot of marketing for their members overall, for their prospective members. So I'm like, okay, you are just 3 people. How do you do so much? And they said we have a very creative approach. And what they did is that they actively partner with other industry like providers. For example, they partner with a marketing company to do their marketing, and they are not paying the marketing company at all, but the marketing company is kind of like benefiting by putting their logo and their branding in a lot of the communication. They cut a deal with them, right? So you can kind of like bring in sponsors like that, and then like get some work done with them. You can invite volunteers. You can create a group of volunteers who can kind of like contribute to different areas of your marketing in general, right? So I think overall, like if you want to do it, if you kind of like create a structure, and if we invite different volunteers or partners or industry like sponsors overall, there are many creative ways of getting it done. It's a matter of just like finding the right way in general.
Yes, it's interesting how you mentioned the influencers, the volunteers, and the partners. But I think often the members themselves are also they're not also given as much attention as they should be. So we have like in an ideal state, your members would act like ambassadors for your association. So we have a question here from Angie, and she's asking like, how can associations get there? Like, how do you encourage existing members to recruit new members for your association?
I'll let Scott go first. Yeah.
Sure. I personally, I've always struggled with that. I think that there are certain associations where the members really want to participate in that way. And there are other associations where they don't. And it's not that they're selfish. It's not that they're, just in it for them. It's just that that's not why they're at the association. If they are, if they happen to run into somebody that they feel is a good fit, then they might mention it. But that's not how they want to, that's not how they want to interact with the association. So I think the first thing is to understand your membership and to know what their desires are. And maybe it's even just a segment of your membership that wants to be sort of an influencer and to talk to other people or be an ambassador or whatever you want to call it. And then if that's the case, then give those individuals or companies, and ultimately even at companies, it becomes the individuals at the companies, give them some tools so that it makes it easy for them. You don't want them to have to come up with an elevator speech or, for your association, right? You need to help them with that. You need to give them that. If they're meeting lots of prospects or, companies that might be interested or individuals that might be interested, and in person, then provide them with some print materials that they can hand the person, those kind of things, or a business card or whatever it might be. But I think that the key is knowing, first step is to know either if your membership in general is interested in sort of being an ambassador or a spokesperson, which I say that lightly, or, forwarding information or sort of being, getting the word out there about your organization. And if not the entire association, then maybe there are segments and identifying that segment and bringing those people in, whether it's on a member committee or a membership outreach committee or something like that, and have them play that role. And then what's really important, if you do identify that folks are interested in that, is then provide them with some information, provide them with the tools that they will need to do that. And then sort of underlying all that, I think we are in an interesting place now, and we have been for a while just because of technology. Ask those people to participate in your communities. Ask those people that are interested to, be experts in the field. And also, and then if there are like, not your own private communities, but if there's a LinkedIn community that's talking about your topic that you cover or your industry that you cover, ask them if they'd be willing to not promote you, but mention you and talk about and tell the story of how they've benefited from being a member of your association when it's appropriate, right? You don't want it to feel like, and they as members don't want it to feel either like, here comes blatant promotion, and it's sort of like conversation about topic related to an industry. And all of a sudden it's, oh, by the way, I'm a member of blah, blah, blah. You should join. And it's like, where did that come from? So, but I think that it actually has become a little bit easier to have members act on your behalf, but you have to suggest it to them. I mean, that's another key piece is you need to identify folks and then you need to suggest to them, hey, would you be willing to that? And then if they need any assistance doing that, then as the association, you can provide that assistance.
Yeah, to add to that, I guess like I am a big believer of organic marketing. And then like Lydia, you know this that like I try to like shy away from paid ads as much as I can and try to like stay organic as much as possible. So and I think there is a lot of opportunities like for associations to invest in organic marketing with their current members. So first of all, I guess like you need to get your current members to volunteer in different projects or activities that the association is having right now, right? So by inviting your members to volunteer, you kind of like increase the engagement with the members overall, right? And then while the members are participating in the different like committees or different like communities of practice, and just like Scott said, you need to make sure you make that very public. So for example, if the committee had a meeting today, right? If it is like Zoom or in-person meeting, take a selfie, post on social, let all the participants reshare on their social, right? Whenever there's something happening, whenever you have like a key event, take pictures, like take videos, take like short nuggets of all the success stories, whatever is happening, and be very social about it. Like promote all of that in social and include some of those in your newsletters, your email blasts to your members as well. I think the best way to let your members be the ambassadors is to share their success stories, like share their wins. And we actually have a lot of wins in our lives nowadays. We just like don't like dig deep into them and don't look at them and don't share them. I think it's very important for associations to kind of like dig deep and see like what great work is the committee doing today, right? And who are the key people that we can probably highlight on the next newsletter? Who can we promote on social media? So I think like that is very important. And this is like very organic marketing. Like no one is like promoting anyone. We're just like sharing a win, sharing a success story that we just had. I'll give you a quick example. So whenever we our company like hold any workshop with our clients, right? So we probably have like up to like 4 people taking part in the workshop. We always take a picture at the end of the workshop, like everyone with thumbs up, big smile, right? And then we tell our client to kind of like share it with everyone on their social. So, and like we are not promoting anyone there. We just had a great workshop. Everyone is happy. We took a picture. We promoted that on social. I think like more social sharing, like more like client stories like that will actually go a long way for associations. And that way you're not being salesy, you're not pushing anything. If a friend of that member sees that, oh, he's part of that association, meaning, and he's doing great work, should I join? At least the friend of that person will be curious. They'll click on a link and maybe like check out the association, right? And then like see what fun they're missing out on. So I think sharing is very important nowadays.
Thank you for that. So that was really like gold answers when it comes to members as ambassadors, if it's possible, what's not possible, how to do it properly. And we've also heard the word segment several times now. So someone from the marketing or research would understand fully what segments are. But for like what we said earlier, a lot of the associations don't really have budget or don't really have marketing teams. So can you share with us what segments are? Is it basically just the membership tier that you're in, or is it more?
From my perspective, it can be, in some ways, it's how you want to define it. It can be complicated or it can be simple. And what a segment is, in just general terms, it's a portion of your membership or a portion of your prospective members. It's not the entire membership. So, sort of like you would think a segment of an orange, right? Like it's not the entire orange, it's one of the little pieces of an orange that you can peel off, right? And so that's what it really is. And what I was trying to say by it can be as complicated or as simple as you want, if you don't have the data and you don't have the resources to collect the data, you can make it as simple as, what are your member categories, right? Is it student? Is it what a lot of associations still call sort of a regular member? Is it an industry partner? And those 3 groups, and I'm just sort of making in general, generically, but they probably do have different needs and they're members of your association for different reasons. So you can do it as simple as that. If you want it to be complicated, You could go into, let's just take your regular membership. You could do it by business, by title of the different individuals. You could do it by how many years they've been in the industry. You can do it, you can segment your marketing based on how many years they've been a member. You can drill down and drill down and drill down and drill down. You could segment as to, here's kind of just an example. You could say somebody who's been a member for 10 years and has never attended your annual conference before, right? You might want to talk to them differently than somebody who has attended your annual conference before, because your messaging, if you have the sophistication, you have the money, and you have the time, you could do a promotional piece that says, hey, you've experienced the annual conference before. That's just one of the fantastic benefits that we offer. So we're excited that you were able to attend that. Here's something else that you might be interested in as well. There's lots of different ways you can do it, but my recommendation is always segmenting is important, but you need to know what you're able to do based on the data and the financial and human resources that you have. But some segmenting is always going to be better than none. And just to use sort of industry partnership versus general membership as an example, your industry partners are there typically for a very different reason than your regular members. So don't promote the same things to them. Don't talk to them about the same benefits, because they don't want the same thing. So you're almost doing yourself a disservice, or you're almost damaging yourself by sending the same thing to everybody. So even if you can just dissect your audience by 2 or 3 segments, you're still going to do better than just sending the same thing to everybody.
Yeah, so fully agree with that. I don't think I can add much to that. The answer was so complete already. So the one thing I think I'll just add is if there's another way you want to segment your audience is by the what stage of their career they're in right now, within your members. So early someone who's in their early stage of the career will have a very different need than someone who's been in the industry for 10 plus years. So if you can at least segment your membership like that, and then dial in the communication like that, then I think that is at least better than sending the same thing to everyone.
Yeah, thank you for that. That's a lot of yes, it's a lot of knowledge for everyone already. So let's go from recruitment to retention. So there's this slow process of you're recruiting your potential members to them becoming a member. So what do you think is the ideal onboarding process for new members? Should it be a different experience for members who are renewing, or will it be exactly the same?
I think it really depends on, sorry, Lydia, to answer your question, yes, it should be different. How different it needs to be, that depends on the association. And as I talk, I feel like I'm repeating myself in some ways, because some of these are sort of tried and true things that are going to work, whether it's on recruitment or retention or engagement. But you need to understand, some of it depends on data collection again, and I'm going to keep going back to data collection. What do you know about your members? Because if someone, let's say it's someone who's been a member for 10 years, and you know that typically, not always, but members, or any member, whether it's an individual or a company, that they tend to have a slightly different need from your association than somebody who's just becoming a member for the first time. Well, you would want to communicate what those different benefits are that will address their needs. So you'd want to do that. That's one key reason why you need to differentiate. If somebody's been around, if you have the sophistication to somebody rejoins or comes back, they renew. If you have the sophistication, to use my annual conference example, if they rejoin and you know that they haven't been to the annual conference before, or they have been to the annual conference before, use that information, if you can, in your communication and say, hey, look, here's what's going on. We noticed you didn't come last year, so we'd love for you to come this year, and do that kind of thing. A new member really needs more of what I would call sort of a drip campaign, because they're probably not going to be as aware of all of the different benefits that your association offers. I will again reiterate and re-stress that you should try and segment them, because you're going to have new members in all of your different segments. Again, if you can just pick two, that's fine. Just do two. But then you don't want to dump everything on them at the same time, because as we were talking about before, email, we all get a million emails. And so if we don't put our email in a digestible format, people aren't going to read them. They're going to read one or two bullets maybe, and then they're not going to remember the rest. And so you need to kind of drip onto them the different benefits. Hopefully those benefits will be based upon what segment they fall in. So that would then correlate to what their needs are. But I do think that there is value in having first of all, let's take a really high level view of this. For anybody who comes back, it's a welcome back message, right? It's not a thank you for joining message. So you can start as high, if you want to take really, really, really baby steps, when you welcome someone to your association, if they're a new member, you'd want to welcome them. If they are coming back, you want to thank them for renewing and thank you for coming back and for their ongoing support and all those kind of things. So if you want to start at that high level, again, if you don't have the resources, if your AMS doesn't have a ton of data, start there. I'm always a big fan of start somewhere, right? Like anything is better than just lumping everybody together. So, start there. There are certain associations that they have the resources to have people, other members call and welcome their members and call and welcome back their members. Great idea. Not every association can do it. So you've got to sort of figure out what you can do and what you're able to implement and then go that direction. But Lydia, to answer your question directly, yes, I think that you should address everybody that comes back in some way. But, there is definitely a positive impact of welcoming people and for joining, as opposed to, in addition to welcoming back people or companies that are joining for the first time.
I have a lot of thoughts on onboarding, Lydia. You want me to comment now or later?
Yeah, sure. I mean, we'll go to retention after. So I think this is the perfect time to talk about onboarding.
Okay, so we have spent a lot of time researching the best onboarding practices, right? Like what are the best possible onboarding models? And we had like a whole, I think, webinar or a podcast topic on this as well. Like what are the best ways you can onboard your members? But I just want to touch on a few key things. Onboarding is extremely, extremely, extremely important, right? It's surprising how many associations do not realize how important onboarding is, because just because a member signed up, you cannot expect that the member knows everything about the association already, because your association has been around for a long time, maybe even over 100 years sometimes, and you have a lot of content and resources hidden on your website, on your portal, and everywhere. So we cannot expect our members to know everything from the very beginning, and the members will need a lot of handholding. And there's research that members who are engaged within the first 30 days, they're significantly more likely to renew their membership on the first year. And this research, this information is mind-blowing. So members who are engaged in the first 30 days, they're way more likely to renew their membership on the first year. It was done by Amanda Kaiser. So that's why in the first 30 days, I think it's very important for you to have a very good onboarding process. So Scott already talked about a drip campaign. So we should definitely send out a series of emails to the members, welcoming them and introducing them to the different parts of the association and what you have to offer. But another idea that works really, really well is, and actually I'll backtrack a little. So there's a lot of research that shows that why members join an associations, and the top one reason in 3 years in a row what members have said is that people join associations to be a part of a community, right? That has been the top reason again and again and again, and this is true in the membership marketing benchmarking report for this year as well. The number one reason was to join a community. So community is very important. So what works great is that if you can hold continuous onboarding sessions, like a 30 minutes Zoom session every month, or maybe a 1 hour Zoom session once every 2 months, but make it a community, make it more interactive. So then have your membership manager or membership coordinator welcome the members in a Zoom meeting, and then walk through the different parts of the association, what services you have, what benefits you have, and handhold them, show them, as opposed to telling, show them that this is the website, this is the portal, this is what you have, this is what you can get. And in that session, what you can also do is that like start the session by asking the members, okay, so when you join the association, like why did you join it? You know, like what were your main reasons to join the association? So ask the members, like in the Zoom session, right? And that way, you know, like what to present. And then in that onboarding session, you can show them around, show them everything. And this is the one piece that I think like is mind blowing, that this is also another chance for you to engage your current members. So if you know a champion, a current member who's been around for a long time, you can invite a current member to actually do it on your behalf or have them involved in that process, right? And then what you can do is that you can invite a current champion, like someone in your membership, and have them be a mentor, have them like introduce like the association to the new members for that month or for a set amount of time, that way. What you'll do, like you'll build a community, and then the members who are just joining, they are already connected to an influencer. You're building a community, and the member who's volunteering to actually like do the onboarding for you, you're engaging them at a much deeper level, right? So I think an onboarding method like that is like very, very powerful if you can do it, though. It's work, you know. So and I think like what will happen is that, say you had 10 members join in the last 2 months, and you have an event this month for the onboarding. Not all 10 members can probably join the session because they have a conflict or something else. So in that case, what you should do is you should still hold the onboarding, though. If you had 1 member or even 2 members join the onboarding session, even that is valuable. You should still hold it, right? And then what you should do is that record the session, post it on your portal, and then send an email with the recording to all the other members who actually missed it, right? That way, the people who actually missed the session, they can still watch the recording on their own time. I think like being available on the members' time is very important nowadays, and we kind of like don't realize the value of it as much. So anytime you're holding an onboarding session or anything like that, if you can make it available for the members so they can see it on their own time, that is very, very powerful. So from all our research, speaking to many, many people, this is the best onboarding approach that we could come up with, right? I'm pretty sure there are better models, but this is that I like know of so far.
Yeah, thanks for that. So that's a lot. So that there's research, there's community, there's a sense of the discussion. So yeah, I think that a lot of the times association do get overwhelmed again when it comes to the processes that they have to do. And like one of the challenges really is also to make that retention, that healthy, retention of their current members high. So like, do you have any, what would be your top 3 key strategies to retain?
I could just repeat my earlier ones for improvement because I think it's very similar. I think that in many ways retention is easier because I think one of the biggest obstacles that you face as an association, as a membership organization, is getting people to pay to join for that first time. And so unless you've not engaged them at all, or unless you've given your members a reason to not join, which could be not providing any value to them, and that's a whole nother story that, you know, you guys could have a whole nother webinar conversation about it. What does member value look like? But otherwise, I think it's very similar. The approach can be similar. I think that this all really ties together. I mean, I feel that, you know, you've got the recruitment stage, you've got the engagement stage, and then you've got the renewal stage. And bringing people in or companies in is hard. Engaging them is challenging, but not as hard. There's lots of different options and different ways that you can do it. And if you do a good job, if you're providing value and you do a good job of engaging your members, then the renewal piece is almost just a marketing issue. It's how do you get people to know and understand that it's time for them to pay their dues again. And so that ties right back to kind of where we started, Lydia, which is, you know, multi-touch, targeted messaging, and making sure that you're staying in front of them so that they know that it's time for them to pay. I mean, in some ways, make it easy, right? I mean, that's another suggestion I have about renewals and even in recruitment as well. Make it easy for people to pay you. Don't make it hard for them to do it. I've seen in different communities, I've seen conversations about, should we charge people if they want to use a credit card? Should we do this? Should we do this? And I'm like, in my opinion, it's a cost of doing business. You know what? Let people pay the way they want to pay. And if your dues aren't covering what their membership really costs, you've got a business issue. It's not a credit card fee issue. It's a business issue. So you've got to be smart enough as an association to know what that looks like and then price yourself accordingly. I've seen discussions about, should we charge a late fee if people don't charge, if they don't pay now? And I'm like, I don't know, probably not, because it disincentivizes them from then coming back if they lapse for a little bit of time. But I know I'm not really giving tactics here, but I would say, Lydia, to answer your question, my three are still the same three. You've got to really just get in front of them. If you've done a good job on the recruitment side, if you've done a good job of engaging them, if you've provided quality products and services to them while they're a member, the renewal piece is really just making it easy, making them know that it's time for renewal, and then making it easy for them to renew.
Yeah, and I think like I have talked about this in other sessions as well, and I think I have a video on this as well. So I truly believe that the decision to renew like your membership actually happens during the year and not at the end of the year, right? So during the year, as you're engaging with an association, the member truly has to feel that they're getting value for what they're paying, right? So there are like some groups that I'm part of, like whatever money I'm paying, I get like 2 times, 3 times the return, and I know that for sure, so you need to make sure that the value that the member is getting like always very, very high, and the member can see the value throughout the whole year, right? Not just like one time, right? So like many years ago, like when I joined an engineering association, like once I signed up, I used to get like 1 magazine per month, right? And then there was 1 annual conference, and that's it. There was no other engagement with the members or anything like whatsoever, right? So you don't want that to happen. You want the community, you want the member community to be vibrant. You want the members to be there for each other and answer each other's question. You want a vibrant community throughout the whole year. So, and how do you do that? You need to make sure that the services that you are actually like providing, the benefit services and the events and content that you are actually like sharing, they have to be very dialed in based on what the members' needs are. And Scott mentioned about research many times, right? So I think like that research is extremely important. You need to make sure you have an ongoing dialogue with the members throughout the whole year, so you truly understand what the members' needs are, what their challenges are, what they're looking for, right? Don't give them what they don't want. Like make sure that like anytime you're starting a new service or whenever you're holding a webinar or anything, make sure it's on a topic that the members truly need. Now, as you're engaging the members like throughout the year, it may be the case that at the end of the year, they might forget, they might not remember that we actually took part in so many great things. So if your like membership system, or if your AMS tool has a way to show the member a quick preview, quick reminder of what you were part of last year, what discussion you are part of, I think that's a very good reminder. And that's why like on our like member launch product, what we have done is that like on the renew page, we kind of like show them the list of activities they were part of, right? The renew page, where you like renew the membership, we actually like show them, oh, you're part of this event, like you are part of this committee, and you have been like part of like these other different things. So the moment you see that, it's a no-brainer. You know that, oh, I was part of so many things. So it's a quick refresher. So depending on like how advanced your membership tool is, if you can give them a reminder that you are part of these things at the end of the membership year, then renewal is slightly easier. And I totally agree with Scott, what he said, that should we be charging late fees, or should we be like billing on credit cards and whatnot, right? Do not make it any more difficult than it already is, right? So members have a lot of options nowadays. I'll give you a quick example. So like a lot of members will probably join associations to watch the trainings from the influencers or like industry speakers. Now, if I'm spending say $10, $20, $30 a month on something like that, I could also get a premium subscription from YouTube, and then like watch YouTube like trainings and whatnot without any interruption. That is always my option nowadays, right? So 20 years ago, YouTube and all these channels were not there, but now they're there. And we have so many other training websites out there right now, like Udemy, and then like I think there are many others like Linda. So you always have to make sure that like you are not competing with those platforms, and whatever you are kind of like doing is very much like niche and something that the members will truly value. So that's why you will never see Netflix charging a late fee, right? If you're not there, right, you lose access, and then like when you pay, you're back on. So they make the processes extremely easy. So you need to make sure that whatever apps and tools that you're actually putting in front of the user for the renewal process is extremely smooth. Like payments are very easy, and the whole process doesn't like take a lot of steps. And definitely there shouldn't be any manual steps. You shouldn't be collecting checks nowadays anymore unless there's a very good reason for that. And then like whenever someone has renewed their membership, you try to remove any manual steps your staff has to do. That like, oh, you know what, like if they didn't renew, they get kicked out of these groups, and then like when they renew, it takes you another month to put them back. Like try to avoid those and try to automate those as much as you can, so that the moment you pay, you're back in the group right away.
I think a lot of members would love that. Just to know that, to make it easy for them to retain and renew and be a member of their association. I think that is like a gold nugget for members. Make it easy for them to renew. So yeah, so okay, so so about renewal. So like you have all these tools, and it's great if you have all the tools to help you. Like in the digital age, how has technology impacted your recruitment and engagement efforts? Like how are these tools going to help the association prove to their members that they are reaching out to them, that they are there, that they can get the potential members, that they can keep their current members? Like, is there like a magic tool, all-in-one solution for everything that the association needs, or is there like a collection of tools that the association should use?
I wish there was a magic tool. If there was a magic tool, then Farhad and I could develop it and sell it to everybody, and we'd be retired soon. I think it's a combination. I feel like you've got to get in front of your members or your prospective members again. I know I've said this before, in different ways. I think that digital marketing nowadays is very valuable. So whether it be on the renewal side, you can take your current database, and I'm not a tech guy. I don't know all the details, so I can't really implement this. I can talk in generality, but you can take whatever renewal pool that you have going in there, dump it into the Google machine or onto Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever it might be, and then you can target ads at folks, letting them know that their renewal is now due. You can do pop-ups. I mean, I think that technology. I fully believe that going old school and doing direct mail and things like that is still a very viable option, and it should be included in your mix. But I think that technology now gives us so many new opportunities that aren't real expensive, and also are very that they get you right into the mailboxes or right onto the phone screens or iPad screens or whatever it is of your members. So and they're not. I don't do it, but I'm sure there are lots of companies out there that can help you get in front of your members and your prospective members based off of persona or based off of email. There's lots of different ways. And so I would say that out of all the things that I've seen over the last year or so, that's the most promising, is really using some sort of digital targeting to get in front of your members or prospects.
Yeah. And I think in general, what we see a lot of companies do is that they would like pick a tool, and they would kind of like do an RFP and quickly make a decision on a tool or technology or something, right? Like without having a clear strategy of like why we're going to use this tool, how is it going to help our members. So I think like not having a strategy doesn't help anyone, right? So then you will get the tool, you will start to implement it, and you will not get any results. So something that is extremely important is have like a very strong strategy behind whatever you're going to do. So for example, like if you're going to do omni-channel marketing, like multi-channel marketing, and you don't have a lot of like bandwidth to post on the different social media channels, then you probably like need a tool that can like take your post once and post it out to 3 different platforms. So then that is the one tool that you need at this point in time, right? So you have to like understand the strategy first, like why are you doing certain things? And then, so once you have the strategy dialed in, you know what the strategy is, then find the tool that can help you to implement the strategy, right? And another thing nowadays is that a lot of associations will try to just use this one big AMS, one big CRM to do it all for them. I think like those days are just gone now. Technology has become so advanced, and our like members and prospects have become so sophisticated that if you want to use like a one big tool like that, you will do a little of everything, but you won't do anything well, right? So just LinkedIn marketing, just one thing, right? So if you want to like engage your members better or prospects better on LinkedIn itself has its own science. So there's the time of day, there's the length of post, and there's like the what type of media to post, right? So nowadays, something that is very popular on LinkedIn is like LinkedIn slides, and we are doing a lot of LinkedIn slideshows nowadays, and the slideshows are very popular, right? So if you use old AMS or an old CRM that kind of like only pushes out one type of content on LinkedIn, which is just a post, then it will not do you any favor, because what is really working on LinkedIn right now are slides, right? And then that one tool cannot do that. So then you're losing out. So what you have to do is like really understand what the strategy is and make sure that your strategy is always evolving. It shouldn't be just like one strategy that you came up with 1 year ago and still applying that, because technology and the whole landscape is changing so fast nowadays, right? So you have to keep evolving your strategies like over time. So I think at least once a quarter, if you take a quick look at what you're doing and then evolve the strategy, I think that is very, very powerful. And then also something that we find is that their different tools are not properly connected, right? So if you have a member who just registered, and the member registered like on the website, and right after the registration, a staff has to add you to the portal, right? Oh yes, we collected your money, now you'll be added to the portal in a couple of days, right? So I think like those days are gone right now. So if you have a disconnect like that, then it is not helping anyone. It's adding more work on your plate. It is holding the member back from getting value from your association. And then also what's happening is that like the moment when the member was excited, they just joined and they were excited, but you didn't give them access right after they paid. The 2 days that the member is waiting, you are just like wasting time, and you're kind of like that excitement is dying, right? So you need to make sure that any tools that you're using, any technology that you're using, it's very smooth, and this is really up to the standards with what the other companies are doing right now. Because believe it or not, you are actually competing with companies like LinkedIn, with YouTube, Netflix. So a young member, or maybe a millennial, maybe someone my age, like if I go to Netflix and I see what the interface is, and then I come to my association and oh my God, I can't even find a single resource, right? I have to go through like 10 different links to find the one resource I'm looking for. It's already a negative experience. So I think what I truly believe is that you have to have a good strategy on like what you want to do. And then after that, you have to find the right technology strategy, or the right technology to make sure that you're implementing the strategy really well. Now, something I mentioned earlier, that community is very important nowadays. So you have to make sure that you give your members a way to connect with one another online. It can be, you don't have to use a portal like ours, like Member Lounge, but like at least if you can have like a Facebook group or like a LinkedIn group or something, a way where the members are together. Like bare minimum, like I have a group like in Ottawa here that has a WhatsApp group even, right? And the members are very active on WhatsApp. So like, so be it, like wherever your members are, you have to give them a way to connect with one another. So if you are not using the modern technologies to kind of like expand your reach, then you're definitely losing out. And these tools, the online community tools like automated member renewal, they are actually very cheap nowadays. They are not as expensive as they used to be 10 years ago. They have become very, very cheap. So you need to make sure that you, in your next budget cycle or whenever you're talking to your board, you make some room for ongoing technology improvements. Technology will not solve all of your problems, but technology will significantly expand your reach, right? So whatever you one person could do, like you one person with a powerful technology, can scale it 10 times. So well, we use a lot of automation tools in our company in general. So if you can use technology, if you can use tools to expand your reach and then amplify your capabilities, then that is a huge power. If you're not using it, you're actually like losing out on that.
Yeah, so what I'm hearing is that the landscape is evolving, and using both traditional and digital tools will definitely help the association. So they need to make a good mix of those if it's good for them, like if it's reasonable, if it makes sense to their members. So looking to the future, how do you see the landscape of professional associations evolving? Like, what are the changes or innovations do you anticipate in both recruitment and engagement practices?
That's another one. If I had the answers, I'd be a billionaire. I think that, I don't want to use the buzzword, but, I was going to jokingly say, type into the chat GPT, right? That's the answer to everything, right? Chat GPT. It's all we talk about. Chat GPT, Chat GPT. But I didn't know if everybody would get my sense of humor. But I do think that, what Farhad was saying about automation, I think that artificial intelligence is going to be a piece of that as well. I think that artificial intelligence, whatever it is, whether it's ChatGPT or I think there's going to be more and more that continues to come out. But I think that that is going to have a huge impact on marketing. I don't think it's going to take people's jobs away, but I think it's going to make it easier for people to do different types of marketing. I think it's going to make it so that associations can do smarter marketing. I think that's really what's going to change. And I don't know what that, because it's changing when I've been rambling like a goof over here, it's changed already, right? But, it's going to continue to change. And I think that that's going to be the biggest thing. And I also think that that's going to be one of the most challenging things for associations is staying on top of that and understanding how it can really help. Because I feel personally, even as a marketer, it's overwhelming to me just to try and stay on top of everything that's going on. So I could only imagine a staff person in an association where they've got 30 other things that they've got to do during the day, trying to stay on top of it is going to be hard. So I think there are going to be more and more, let's call them an agency or experts that really focus on the different pieces of AI or whatever. It's going to be, as Farhad was saying before, you got to figure out what your strategy is. You can't just go to somebody and say, I want to use AI. And then they're going to go, what do you want to do with it? I don't know. Everybody tells me it's going to help. It's going to make my stuff better. Well, it doesn't really work that way. So you've got to have a strategy behind it. But I think that AI truly is going to have a big impact on associations and on the marketing side of things. Exactly what it's going to be, I can't tell you right now, but I think it's going to have a huge impact.
Yeah, and I think I'll comment on one of the questions from the audience now, I think from Karen. So Karen was asking about the research work. So engaging members in the first 30 days, that was a research Karen done by Amanda Kaiser. So if you search Amanda Kaiser, you will find her work. And the second one, renewal, decision to renew, happening earlier. So this is research done by membership marketing benchmarking report by Tony Russell. So if you look for Tony Russell's research, you'll actually find those. Now, another key information that key research that we found from Tony Russell's benchmarking report. And Tony Russell was on our podcast last week or the week before. I can't remember when we do so many events. But one key takeaway that we got from those from the latest membership marketing benchmarking report was that there is a very strong correlation between use of good technology to engage members, right, and then membership growth in general. So whoever actually used good technology, decent technology to engage members throughout the year, those people actually got the biggest renewal in their membership overall. So I think this is not a correlation. There's a causality as well. Members are getting value throughout the whole year, and that's why they're renewing at the end of the year. And to answer Lydia's questions, where do we see associations going? So I think I'll take a different approach on this question. I truly believe that associations are becoming content producers in the future, right? So associations have to become content producers. Why? Why am I saying that? Right now, I think there is a lot of free content out there, in the world. There's you search and you get a lot of content on Google, LinkedIn, Facebook. There are free trainings and whatnot. But I think among all these trainings and free education that you can have, I think there's one thing that is missing. It's very difficult to find quality content. Trusted quality content is becoming very, very difficult to find. There is so much fake news out there. There are so many people so-called experts who are claiming to be experts just by doing one little thing, right? So for example, Scott, he's been working with associations for more than 2 decades. That experience has value, right? And then all the lessons that he has learned by doing that, someone who is claiming to be an expert just by creating 4 YouTube videos, is not right. So in general, I think like there is a huge void in the industry right now for quality content. And I think associations are in a very good position to fill that void. I don't know if associations are realizing that. Like, if not, then this is your time. If you're here in this episode, then, there you are. But you have to invest in content, and content in many different formats. And you have to make sure that you become the go-to place for top news, top content for your profession, for your industry. If you cannot be that, then you will definitely lose out in the upcoming years and upcoming decades. Now, that is not easy. You have to have a fully organized effort. You have to have like a very structured approach and like a very, very deliberate projects and everything to create content on an ongoing basis. Like, it cannot be, oh, I did like one webinar this quarter and I'm fine, I will not do anything for 3 months again. It cannot be like that. It has to be in your DNA to produce content all the time. And it has to be in your DNA to make sure that you are engaging members, including everyone, to create that content. It doesn't have to be just by yourself. Include members, include partners, get all the help that you can get, and then produce content like on a regular basis to help your members. Now, producing content is not just enough. I think like you have to make sure that like they're like actually meeting your members' needs. And for that, you need the ongoing dialogue. Ongoing dialogue throughout the entire year is extremely, extremely important. So along with all of that, so if this is your strategy, then how can you simplify this strategy? How can you implement this using the tools that you have at your disposal right now? That is AI, right? So AI will actually be huge in the upcoming years. If you're not using AI, then again, like you will like fall behind. So find out like in that becoming that content king, becoming that like content producer, what are the different areas where you can use technology, use tools like AI and everything else to amplify your capabilities, amplify your reach. So ChatGPT is definitely like here to stay. It is not going away, right? So how many people have cell phones nowadays? Everyone has cell phones, right? So like 20 years ago, like if we were going to ask if cell phones are going to be the thing, we wouldn't know, right? But now like we know it is a thing. When iPhone came out, the touchscreen, right? The BlackBerry company, they were saying, you know what, touchscreen is not good for professional people. So I was very close with the BlackBerry team here in Ottawa. BlackBerry headquarters were in Ottawa. That's why I know this. So the BlackBerry CEOs were saying that like touchscreen is something that the enterprise, like professional people, will never adopt. It will never be adopted widely, right? And like fast forward like 10-20 years, we don't have anything but touchscreen everywhere, right? So technology will only go in one direction, though. As soon as people start adopting things like ChatGPT, it is not going backwards, right? So, and you should not see it as a threat. You have to use it in your workflow slowly. If you're not able to adopt these things like right away, then like find little ways how you can adopt it, right? So little ways, and then like make sure that you communicate this to your team as well. Like one champion in the team using technology is not good enough, right? So anyone who's a champion, he should kind of like educate the rest of the team to tell them, hey, by the way, I'm doing this on ChatGPT, I'm doing this using this tool. Can you try it as well, right? And technology champions often think that other people know by default, but oftentimes people don't know. Like today, I had to like in one of our meetings, I had to like share in our team how to bookmark a channel on Slack, right? It's a very simple thing that I would assume that someone in a technology company would know very easily, but in general, like it's not the case. So you have to make sure that you educate your team as well. So again, like going back, I think number one, the strategy, becoming content producers, and then how can technology be used? How can you use all the latest tech tools to kind of like give you that edge, right? Make your world easier. So I'll just comment on one more thing. So what are the different areas where you can use AI? So I think member support, like customer support, member support, like making that automated using virtual agents is something big, that will be like more and more popular in the upcoming years. And it is a feature that will be released on our member launch tool next year as well. So if you are already using member launch, stay tuned. Virtual chat agents are coming next year. So I think like that will be something that is very key. So members can get the support very, very quickly. Another area, so how we have been investing in technology for member launch. Again, like I don't want to be like a sales pitch overall, but I just want to like share the approach that we are taking. So So we are looking at what are the biggest challenges associations have today, right? And then how can we use AI to simplify and solve those challenges for the association members overall, right? So one area was member support, and another area is like community management, right? So we are actively working on implementing AI in community management, so that whenever someone is posting comments on discussions and whatnot, like monitoring that community is a bit of a challenge. So if someone like posted something that is obscene and vulgar, right, you don't want those posts there. You don't want a human being to kind of like review, moderate every single post. So these things we want to automate. So we are implementing features like AI solutions that will do sentiment analysis upfront. That if we see that there's something that is negative, we trigger a notification to the like moderators or admins, and they know, hey, you know what, there was something that is questionable. I will jump in right now and take an action, right? So I think like whatever is like very difficult for you right now in the association world, if you can find a technology piece that can make your life easier, I would say spend the money, welcome the technology. It will make your lives easier. It will make everyone's lives easier. That was a long answer to your short question. Yeah.
Yes, that was a lot. I think a lot of people would want to have a record of this talk so that they can review exactly what everyone was saying, all the things that they can work on. I do want to go to the audience questions right now so that we still have time to answer them. And we're going to ask Karen's question, which she sent earlier. So what are the recommended best practices to encourage recently expired members to renew their annual membership? So we talked about renewals earlier, but what if they're already expired members? So is there a way for them to still renew their annual membership?
I think your number one problem that you have with expired members oftentimes is just getting them to know that they expired. It's always interesting if you do, if you can get expired members to reply to your survey tool, your lapsed member survey, which actually is a good, that's sort of an idea within an idea, right? You can, if you send out a survey to people, oftentimes they will reply and say, the number one or number two is always, I never got an invoice. I never got a renewal notice. Well, we sent you 17 of them. So you got one of them. I guarantee you got one of them. But so, oftentimes it's just figuring out what that right communication method is to let them know that they've not renewed. Phone, if people haven't tried it, can be a good way to do it. I've noticed that there has been an uptick with associations actually picking up the phone and calling lapsed members, because that's sort of that whole telemarketing thing that used to happen a lot years and years and years ago kind of went away for a little while because people found it too invasive. But I know there are some challenges because of COVID, people aren't in the office and some other things, but it is still performing quite well. So just a little trick, if you haven't tried phone, I know sometimes it's hard depending on the size of your association membership, but phone has had an uptick, so you can talk about that. Otherwise, I think with expired members, it's, as Farhad was saying before, letting them know what they're missing out on. But I think that the biggest challenge that you have with expired members is truly letting them know they've expired and what they've been missing. Because depending on what your renewal process or schedule is like, if you've sent them a bunch of renewal notices already and they have not renewed, they're not renewing for a reason. So the key is really figuring out how to most efficiently and effectively communicate that their renewal is due to those people. There is, and this has been sort of a rule of thumb for a long time, which is, if you can add another renewal notice and have it cost less than it would to then have to recruit a new member, keep adding renewal notices. We started this conversation with how much is too much. At a certain point, when it comes to renewals, there's never too much. You can do it. I mean, I wouldn't say, if you've got somebody's cell phone number because they've given you permission to text them, don't text them 20 times a day. Don't use a texting program to text them 20 times a day. So that is a bit of an exaggeration. But when it comes to renewal, I feel that for the people that want to renew and that you've proven that there is value in being a member of your association, the number one obstacle to overcome is to get them to pay attention to and then act upon your renewal notice. So as I was saying before, get it in front of them in a way that they're going to see it, and then make it easy for them to renew. I've heard of calling efforts where people literally, the folks that are doing the calling will take their credit card right on the phone. Some people don't love that. They don't want to give their credit card over the phone. But make it as simple as you can. I really feel like that is the key thing, is making sure that you're getting the renewal in front of them and then making it easy for them to renew. It's not a sales pitch. If they've gotten 5 or 6 renewal notices at that point, you're not going to probably sell them into joining or rejoining. It's not going to happen. They've gotten enough opportunities. I know there are exceptions to that rule where sometimes they may need a conversation. You may need to talk to somebody who's above them or whatever it might be, so that those kind of things may happen. But in general, it's getting the renewal to be noticed and getting them to act upon it.
Yeah, and just to add to that, I guess, so phone calls are very powerful nowadays, once again, and we do a lot of calls ourselves, like from our company. And texting is also a great idea overall. So if you have like a texting tool that you can use to text your members and just remind them, I think that's great. But like Scott was saying, don't send them like 20 text messages, maybe like 1 or 2, just for them to before you call, so they know that you are going to call them sometime soon. Sorry. And another key piece of stat I want to just mention, I think in the membership marketing benchmarking report from this year, what they found is that they asked the members why they didn't renew, and I think it's around 25% say that because they forgot to renew. As simple as that. I think it was 25. Don't quote me on the number, but I think it was high up there. Around 25% of the people said they didn't renew because they just forgot to renew. As simple as that. So yes, to Scott's point, I guess as long as you can make sure that the messages that you're sending for renewal is really being seen by them, and they're sent early on, not the last week, not once it has already expired. Start the renewal notices maybe 90 days before event, saying, hey, your membership is about to expire. Do you want to renew now? So maybe maybe starting at 90 days, then maybe 60 days, maybe 30 days, leading up to the day when your membership is expired. So my approach to this is that as opposed to sending all the messages after they have expired, right? Send all the same messages before they expire. Don't even let them lapse, right? So my approach will be to really focus on the period before than on the period after. But if it's already expired, you don't have a choice. You have to reach out to them after. Yeah.
Okay. So we have one last question here. This is from Cindy. Cindy is here. Would you recommend different strategies based on length of membership? So different strategies based on the length of their membership. If you want to clarify anything, Cindy, just let us know. Otherwise, I think, Scott, do you want to answer that?
Yeah, I think you can look at that in different directions, whether it's recruit or whether it's engagement or whether it's renewal. I think that if someone is a new member, and we talked about a little bit about this already, if someone's a new member, they're going to need education on the entire association, right? They're going to need to know what's applicable to them, and they're going to need to really you're going to have to help them poke around a bit, because they're not going to be knowledgeable like someone who's been a member for a few years or 5 years or 10 years. I also think, going back to segmenting again, I know that seems to be something we're talking about a lot on this conversation, is there are going to be certain benefits that someone who's been a member for a longer period of time is probably, again, I'll say probably because I don't want to paint everybody with the same brush, but they're probably going to be more interested than someone who's new. Are the folks who've been members for a long time, are they more likely going to be interested in being on a board, on the board? Are they going to be more interested in being on a committee? Are they going to be more interested in writing content for your publications? Are they going to be more interested in being an ambassador? What are all of those different things that can change as over time as your tenure as a member increases?
I think Scott nailed it. Nothing to add. Yeah.
Okay, so what would be your key takeaway for our audience today?
I'll let Scott start. Yeah.
Sure. I mean, I think the key is, and let me I'll just lead with this. There are a lot of things that you can do regardless of the size of your association. I think you need to start with a strategy. I think you need to know what you want to accomplish. And then from there, based on your human resources, your financial resources, and in some ways your technological resources, you need to implement what you can do and what you're able to do with those different resource groups to meet that, to succeed in whatever your strategy is going to be. But you need to start with a strategy. You don't want to chase the shiny object around. AI, ChatGPT, a few years ago, it was Twitter, Facebook, whatever. You're always going to be chasing the squirrel because there's always going to be something new on the technology side. So you really need to figure out what your strategy is, and then make your recruitment, retention, and engagement decisions based off of what you know about your audience and what you're able to implement.
Yeah, so I think Scott nailed it once again. So I'll talk about something else. And what I mentioned earlier, that associations will probably have to become more like content producers in the near future. And so for that, you need to make sure that your team has the resources, capabilities, and HR, human resources to be able to organize that effort to create content. So your team has to have that. So you need to make sure that in your upcoming budget, hiring process, and and whatever you're doing, you keep that in mind, that you do have to produce more content, more resources in the near future. And that's not enough. You have to make sure that you're sharing those content, sharing the resources, and all the good value that you have with the association using a very good simplified tool with your members, right? So we are spending a lot of time investing in our product, Member Lounge, but you don't have to use Member Lounge. If you want, that's fine, right? But you need something extremely sleek and extremely smooth delivery mechanism of the value. So you invest a lot of time and effort in creating the value for the members, which are the resources, trainings, and everything, all the services that you have. But the delivery mechanism, how you deliver that value, is equally important, right? So if you don't have a very good way to deliver the value, then you're going to lose your members very easily, or there will be a lot of friction in your members accessing the value that you have. So then when you create the value, if there's friction between the member and between the member and the value, they can't access the value easily, then the value isn't having as much impact on your members, right? So you have to reduce that friction. And how you reduce the friction, you make it smooth, is by using modern technology, good tools that the members can easily access. And one thing that we didn't talk about earlier, I think, but I'll share in this key takeaway, is that in the past, we always talked about bringing the member to the association, right? But I think the table has changed now, right? So now we have to make an effort to take the association to the member where the member is, at their whenever they're ready to take it, right? So it's more about bringing the association to the member than the other way around nowadays, and technology can make that happen for you.
That's an interesting concept switch right there. Yeah, bringing the association to the members instead of the other way around. So, okay, can you share a personal habit that has contributed the most to your success? So this is a favorite question here in our podcast, in Gripe, in Member Lounge, that we want to know, what's your personal habit that has contributed the most to your success? Scott, do you have anything to share?
Sure, I would just say curiosity, stay curious. I think that the world is always changing. I think that, especially with technology, but I think just in general, things are always changing. So, I think it's very, very important to stay curious and always be looking around for different things, discovering new things, both personally and professionally.
Yeah, so I can't talk about one habit, but I think the key here is to build as many good habits in your life as you can. I think that is extremely, extremely important. That way, if you're curious, be make the habit of being curious, and meeting the curiosity by reading books and everything all the time. But as many good habits you can add in your life, the better. So the more good habits you add, you push out the negative habits automatically, right? So I think so I think of myself as a biohacker, right? So I push myself all the time. I build good habits all the time, right? So, but in doing all of that, if there's one thing that really stands out in me, in my success and everything, I would say meditation, right? I am a big time meditator. I've been meditating for a very long time. I took trainings in meditation, and then I actively do this. I preach meditation to everyone, right? So if you are not doing it, this is something that we should really be doing, because what has happened nowadays is that like our world around us has become so noisy. There are so many inputs and there's so much happening nowadays, right? But like we were never trained in our school, at our work, or anywhere else on how to deal with all this noise and how to deal with this new complexity of the world, right? But meditation keeps you grounded. Meditation makes you have a very different outlook on your life, on your work, and everything in general. And what I find is that when I am meditating, I often find the solutions to my biggest challenges during the meditation itself, during the meditation session. So I would say, like, if there's one key habit, I would say it is meditation.
Got it. Love it. Curiosity and meditation. Okay. Can you please share with our audience how they can reach you? Scott, how can they reach you?
The easiest way is at my website at scottosersassociates.com. You can also reach me on my email, which is scott@scottosersassociates.com. So either way is great.
Yeah, and I guess like for me as well, I'm very active on LinkedIn. You can find me on LinkedIn. But like we have launched this online community on Member Lounge, which Lydia will talk about. So Scott and I, we will be there in that online community, and then like our other members will be there as well. So if you have any questions, if you want to like post on the Member Lounge learning community, we'll be happy to answer questions there. So that's a very great way for us to like keep in touch with you and for you to keep in touch with us.
Yes, and I want to show them right now exactly how to sign up. So if you want to keep in touch with Scott and Farhad, be sure to join the Member Lounge Learning Community. I'll share my screen. Okay, let me know if you can see my screen. So this is the grype.memberlounge.app site. So here you can see the home page. So what you want to do is you want to go to the login page. So we click on login and register. So you click on register, you choose the free tier we have here and just put in your name, last name, organization, email, phone, and that's it. You register. And as soon as you register, you will actually be brought to our homepage. So this is the dynamic homepage. Okay, let me just move that. So here, this is dynamic because whatever is new, all the new events that we have, all the new resources, they will be found. You can see them here. So it's similar to how social media works right now. So it generates the content as you scroll. And where you want to go right now is go to the discussions. So this is where we have the discussion boards, and we have them categorized based on the interest. So we have here attracting new members. We have Elisa Pratt here and Farhad. And we have here member engagement, where we have Amanda Kaser, Scott Oser, and Farhad as well. So if you have any questions when it comes to member engagement, you can easily go here, click on the box, and then type your questions or concerns. Yes. And then you can also follow this thread so that if anyone has any questions on member engagement, then you will be notified on it. So you'll get an email, you get a notice of their membership questions. And if they also have, let's say, one of the expert panelists that we have here have an answer to those questions, then you can see the answers right away. And the last one that we have here is the non-juice revenue, sponsorships and pricing. So the last panel discussion we had Edward Byers, and we talked about sponsorship and automated marketing. And so this is the discussion board for Member Lounge Learning Community, and we hope to see you here. So, okay. Thank you so much, Scott and Farhad, for joining us today in another fun learning event with Member Lounge. Thank you everyone for joining us live. And this is Lydia Israel signing off from Member Lounge. See you at the next event. Bye.
Bye, everyone.